I'm James Lynch, and this is my stock report for UFC Atlanta, taking a look at the biggest winners and losers from the event. This was a no-brainer for the biggest stock riser on this card. It's got to be Kamaru Usman. Dominant victory over Joaquin Buckley, getting the decision, plus 205 underdog. Look, year off, 38 years old, all this talk about the bad knees, it was all irrelevant. He went in there, took care of business, really made Joaquin Buckley look really bad in this spot. And other than the last round, I thought Usman completely dominated this fight. Really good performance here from Kamaru Usman. He's still a contender. That's very much known after this performance. And hopefully a fight with Bilal Muhammad's going to be on the horizon. That's sort of built in with the storyline and all that. But just impressive win from Usman. I mean, listen, you got to give him his flowers, right? Like, how many fighters his age, being off for that long, come back and have a performance like this? Really impressed with what Usman was able to do. And we got another contender in the mix. You know, there's a lot of people going into this fight and even prior to this fight getting booked saying that Joaquin Buckley should be the next title challenger, and he didn't look like it. And that in large part was the fact that Usman made him look like he was not a contender here. Usman is a contender. He's a former champion. He certainly looked like that in this fight. Kamaru Usman, big win here, biggest stock riser on this card, no questions asked. Okay, second biggest stock riser on this card. People may disagree with this one, but again, we always talk about optics on here, and the optics are Rose Namajunas got a really big win over Miranda Maverick. If you look at flyweight right now, there's a few contenders emerging. If you look at some of the names like Natalia Silva, Jasmine got a big win over Jessica Andrade. Rose getting this win the way she did, very good win for her in the division. Again, Miranda Maverick, I know she was the underdog. She was plus 190, wasn't supposed to win this fight, but I thought Rose controlled this fight very well. I thought it was one of the better performances from Rose at 125. You know, I've said this time and time again on my live streams. I think Rose is better suited at 115, but to get a win like this, to put herself back in the mix, if you look at kind of how she's been going in the division, to bounce back after that Aaron Blanchfield loss, I thought this was a very good performance from Rose Namajunas. So again, people will look at individual performances. I look at performances and the context. The context is Rose needed this win because with her winning, she's now in that contender spot at 125. That's, you know, bigger than anything else that anyone could do. I mean, again, there were some good knockouts on this card. You know, like for example, like a Malcolm Wellmaker got a great win here. He was supposed to do that though. And him beating Chris Montino, what does that do for him in the grand scheme of the bantamweight division? Not as much as Rose winning in her division, because again, like I said, there's a number of contenders emerging, and now Rose joins that list. Big win there over Miranda Maverick. Okay, third biggest stock riser. This one I went a little bit more of a performance as opposed to overall context. Really like what Phil Rowe did in the welterweight division, and part of the reason I'm putting him in the number 3 spot here is for the simple fact that if Phil Rowe would have lost this fight, I think he would have been cut, right? He's 34, coming off a bit of a losing streak here, right? I think he hadn't won a fight since 2022, so his back was against the wall. He was an underdog in this spot. He ends up knocking out Angelosa. Very good performance here from Phil Rowe, who keeps his job, you would think. We'll see what's going on there, but Phil Rowe, I always thought had a really good build for the division. He just hasn't been able to put it together, but this is very encouraging to see him get a finish like this, especially over a guy like Losa, who we've seen is decent in the weight class. I know a lot of people were picking him here, but big win there for Phil Rowe. He gets our number 3 stock riser. Honorable mentions, there could be a number of different ways you could have gone in this one. Honorable mention for me has to go to Ocha. I hope I'm saying that right. The guy who, Ochoa. That's what I'm trying to say. The fighter who took out Cody Durden. I thought that was a really good finish for him here. I was on the other side of this one, which ended up being wrong. But, Jose, for me, young guy, taking out a veteran like this, I think that's his second UFC fight, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so he gets his first UFC win. Very encouraging. I thought this was a good performance over Durden. And again, he gets the finish in this one, which is always nice to see, especially at flyweight where, fighters are trying to make a name for themselves. It's kind of a wide open division. Very big win there for Ochoa, who gets the knockout win over Cody Durden. Okay, let's go to stock droppers. And I mean, I don't think there's any shock here. Biggest stock dropper on this card, hands down, is Joaquin Buckley. This was a big opportunity for him to, get into that title contention, to build off those 2 wins over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Colby Covington. Why am I forgetting his name here? Colby Covington. And yeah, he didn't look competitive in this fight. And that's the thing that you have to look at. It's not just that he lost, it's that he didn't really look competitive. Strong 5th round. I think we got the, all the people wondering, does he have the cardio to go 5 rounds? I don't think that's the issue. I think it's a skill set issue. I don't think he's up there with the rest of these other welterweights, your Sean Brady's, your Ian Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov, all these names. I don't think Buckley's there yet. I think, and this is something I talked about in my breakdown, were these wins over 2 opponents in Thompson and Covington indicative of how good he was, or is it the fact that these are older fighters that that he was able to take advantage of. I think we know now it was kind of the, not great competition that made him look a little bit better than he should have. So for me, Buckley's got to go back to the drawing board. As far as like a next fight, I wouldn't mind I kind of feel like him and Jeff Neal are kind of in the same spot. I wouldn't mind that one, although Jeff, I'm sure, is going to want to get back in there a little bit sooner. But I feel like a fight against someone that's, also in the similar spot where it's like, are they contender? Are they not? Maybe like a Carlos Prates would make sense too for Buckley. I mean, that would be an amazing fight, just the fireworks in that one. But huge setback here for Buckley. He's 31. He's not exactly like a young fighter. And you lose a key fight like this, like it's going to be tough to get a title shot with the logjam that is welterweight when you got guys, like I said, that are ahead of him. So biggest stock dropper is Joaquin Buckley. Okay, second biggest stock dropper on this card. And again, people might disagree with me here, but you just got to think of the fact that Cody Garbrandt was a former bantamweight champion. This was a guy that was knocking everyone out. You look at the record way back when in 2016. I mean, granted, that was a long time ago, but remember him beating Dominic Cruz? People are like, who's going to beat this guy? And then it's been just not a lot of success since. And, here's the thing that I think puts him in this spot for me, other than the fact that, like I said, he was a former champion. He's fighting a guy who's older than him. Like, I could understand if he's fighting for example, if Malcolm Wellmaker had done this to Cody Garbrandt and beat him, I'd be like, okay, Wellmaker, there's a lot of promise with him. There's a lot of potential. We don't really know how good he is. Nothing against Raoni Barcelos, because again, really impressed with what he did against Peyton Talbot. Now he does, gets a good win here over Cody Garbrandt. He's 38 though. Like Cody Garbrandt, who's still only 33, which isn't like terribly old for the bantamweight division. He's losing to a 38-year-old. That's not a good look. And again, I know he wasn't favored to win here, but it's just the optics of his entire career. Cody Garbrandt is not anywhere close. Like there was talk of, hey, Cody's not a contender anymore at bantamweight. Now the talk is, I don't even think he's a ranked fighter at this point. Like I'm looking at the rankings right now. I'm going, who is he going to beat? To me, Barcelos is kind of your benchmark of how, if you're going to do very well in the rankings. And Garbrandt failed that test, in my opinion. He had a good first round, but Barcelos took over the rest of this. Cody Garbrandt, second biggest stock dropper, no questions asked for me on this card. And then third biggest stock dropper, and this just comes back to where he started to where he is now. Cameron Smotherman, again, very impressed with him late in this fight, but he's 27. He had that really good UFC debut against Jake Hadley, and now he's got back-to-back losses. He's in kind of a tough spot. I give him credit for stepping up against Simone. I wasn't expecting him to win that fight, but the optics are this. If he loses his next fight, he could be cut. And you remember how hard it was for him to get into the UFC. Remember him losing on Contender Series. He had to get 4 straight wins, and then he gets in on short notice in not ideal situations against Jake Hadley. So sorry, he won the debut against Jake Hadley and then lost the last 2. So I just think for Smotherman, there was so much promise with him, and now he's lost back-to-back fights. That's going to be tough to sort of overcome there. So Cameron Smotherman, another big stock dropper on this card for me. As well. And then another honorable mention will go with C here. Big favorite against Alonzo Menafield. Certainly should have won this fight. He was minus 715. In fact, you could have almost put him in one of the top spots. Maybe I could have put him over Smotherman, to be completely honest. Either way, huge upset here. Plus 500 for Alonzo Menafield. I told you guys the odds were off on this one. Wish I would have picked Menafield in this spot, but I couldn't pull the trigger just off his age. But big one there for Menafield. C, back to the drawing board here. He's got to get an honorable mention. In fact, you know what? I'll just switch it up right now. C should go over Smotherman for sure, because in this division at 205, a win for C here would have put him in the rankings, because I don't think he was ranked prior to this, if I'm not mistaken. Better double check that just so someone doesn't check me on that. Yeah, he wasn't ranked. Menafield was. So if he would have won, he would have got a ranking. Yeah, C's got to be in the number 3 spot. So I'll put Smotherman as the honorable mention, and I'll put your biggest stock droppers are Buckley, Garbrandt, and C. And then we'll go with Kamaru Usman, Rose Namajunas, Phil Rose, the biggest stock risers. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What are your biggest 3 stock risers? What are your 3 biggest stock droppers? Let me know your top 3, bottom 3. Let's just start there. You don't need to nitpick at my picks. I want to hear your picks and explain why you've gone that way. That would be awesome. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, at Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.